Welcome to Indiana News Desk. I'm Joe Wren. 1 week after a student opened fire in an Indiana classroom, students at Noblesville West Middle School attended their last day of classes for the year. The school offered a shortened schedule following the shooting, focused mainly on team building and counseling. Reporter Barbara Brozier joins us now with more. And Barbara, how are the teacher and the student involved in the shooting doing?
Well, science teacher Seaman is doing well despite being shot 3 times. And while 13-year-old Ella Whistler is still hospitalized, her condition is improving. While classes wrapped up today, Noblesville residents say it will take more time for the community to cope with what happened. The end of the school year at Noblesville West feels different this time around.
I'm just in shock. You see this on TV, and then now I'm like, my daughter is part of this group, so it's just unimaginable to me.
Encouraging messages and familiar faces greeted students as they returned to classes just a few days after a male student shot Ella Whistler and teacher Seaman in a classroom here. Nicole Green has several children in Noblesville schools, including one at Noblesville West.
I've been trying to give them comfort, love, let them talk to us whenever they need to.
The community continues to rally around the schools, too. Money is pouring into fundraising accounts established for Ella and Seaman. The science teacher is being called a hero for tackling the shooter.
My actions on that day, in my mind, were the only acceptable actions I could have done given the circumstances. I deeply care for my students and their well-being, so that is why I did what I did that day.
The schools adopted the phrase Noblesville Strong in the wake of the shooting, and it's a message people across the state are embracing. Even the Indianapolis Colts donned shirts this week showing their support.
Really just thinking about the community up in Noblesville and our support for them. I mean, we know here, right, it's all about team, and in Indiana, when one town and city and school is grieving, we all are.
That grieving will take time, but there are signs the Noblesville community is already starting to heal.
So I was really nervous, just mentally for her, but she was awesome. She went in there with her head held high, asked her if she wanted me to walk her up to the door. Nope, she wanted to do it by herself, so I was very proud of her.
Now, we don't know much about the suspected shooter in this case, except that he's a Noblesville West student. The Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office will only release information about his identity if a petition is filed in the case, which could happen next week. Now, that's because Indiana law provides special protections for juveniles unless they're accused of committing an act that would equate to murder or a felony if an adult. Now, Maurer School of Law professor Jody Madeira joins us. She's a Second Amendment expert and is here to talk about schools and gun laws in the state of Indiana. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Again. So, the state just passed a bill for schools to help fund, and it was around about $5 million.
$5 million, yes.
That to help beef up security. But that was before the Noblesville shooting.
Yes.
So, what does that bill actually do to help?
I think what it does is that schools can request grant monies for specific improvements, such as metal detectors, bulletproof windows, other means they think might make their school a safer place.
This is one of those situations, of course, where people want to do something, even if they're just not sure what to do. There needs to be action. Everyone keeps talking about action, action, action. Are there proven methods to help reduce violence in schools, gun violence in schools?
Well, I think we've heard a wide panoply of proposals, from everything from, fix abortion and fix pornography to metal detectors and bulletproof glass. And I think one thing that's very interesting that you don't hear much about are the effects of so-called school hardening measures on the psyche of students who go to schools. So it disrupts the learning environment quite a bit. And I think what you have to do is balance the value of those methods, very few of which are actually proven, with their effects on the student body and those who must live in that community.
You mentioned a couple of those. Are there any proven methods that do work?
There are. I think the simplest and one of the most cost-effective is locking up weapons and increasing public education surrounding safe gun storage, because guns are available to children at a rate at which they shouldn't be. And I think if children have trouble getting the guns, certainly that's the first step. and it can make other environments safer as well.
You talk about that impact too on learning. How much do these, going through a metal detector and things like that, how does that impact students?
So it can disrupt concentration. It can basically make them feel like they're living in an armed camp. And sometimes they actually make the school environment less safe. For example, if you funnel everyone in through one entrance with metal detectors, that creates what's called a fatal funnel. And shooters don't have to go inside a school building to take lives at that point.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. I have to leave it there for now. Much more to come, I'm sure.